Hi there, welcome to my channel, and in this week's video I'm going to show you how I made this bikini top. So I used the chic Bandeau pattern from Swim Style, and I will link it in the description for you. I'll also link up the fabric that I used and stuff like that. But I'm going to do a tutorial on how I made this swimsuit top, and this is my first time using this pattern, and there's definitely a few things that I would change next time I make it, like fit wise and also just with the construction of it, but I'm relatively happy with how it turned out, and it's definitely wearable and pretty cute. So let's get started with the tutorial. Okay, so I forgot to show you guys how I cut out the pattern pieces, but basically I just cut out the amounts of each piece that were indicated in the pattern instructions. But anyways, now we are going to start with sewing the straps. Okay, so this is basically just the trifold method of making straps. So I have my strap piece here with the wrong side facing up towards me and the right side down towards the table, and then I'm going to fold in the edge by 3/8 of an inch with wrong sides together, and then I'm going to fold it over again right along that raw edge, so that our strap will have the right sides facing out on both the front and the back, and it's going to be 3/8 inch wide. And that one raw edge is encased inside, and the other raw edge is extending out beyond the strap, and that is normal. For now, we are just going to pin this in place, but later on after we sew, we are going to trim off that raw edge that's extending past the strap. So don't worry about that, but for now, just pin everything and then we will get to sewing. Okay, so once I've got the two straps and the two back loops pinned, this is what they'll look like. And then I'm going to sew with a double needle right down the center of the straps with the side that has the folded edge visible facing up. So I got my strap sewn, and as you can see, the double row of stitching from the double needle is on the top of the straps, the side with the folded edges visible, and then the zigzag stitch is on the back of the straps. And now we are just going to trim right along that zigzag, trim that raw edge down so that it's right close to that zigzag stitch, and it'll be hidden underneath the strap when I'm wearing the swimsuit, because I will put the straps on the swimsuit so that the side with the double stitching is facing up. And just be really careful while you are doing this trimming of the raw edge, because you don't want to snip into your stitching and cut your stitching and then cause things to unravel, and you also don't want to cut into your finished strap, because that's no fun to have to remake your strap. So next I'm going to make the bra cups. So I'm making my bra cups out of wadding because I didn't have any foam cups on hand. So I'm making mine with a double layer of wadding. So each of these pieces is actually 2 layers of really thin wadding. I think it's 1/8 of an inch thick wadding. But anyways, so the first thing I'm going to do is sew each bra cup piece to its corresponding piece down that curved center front line. And do keep in mind that with pretty much everything involved with sewing the bra cups, you can just use a regular straight stitch. There's no need to use any sort of stretch stitch or serger or anything like that, because the bra cup isn't going to stretch at all because of the wadding. So just use a regular straight stitch for all of this sewing of the bra cups. Alrighty, so now I've got 2 beautiful bra cups, and Now we want to make sure that that center front seam is going to lay nice and flat so that you don't see the bump of fabric from the seam allowance from the outside of your swimsuit, because that is not really a good look. So anyways, now I'm going to finger press open that seam, and then I'm just going to top stitch right along my stitching line, about 1/8 of an inch from my stitching on either side of that center front line. And that's just going to hold everything down nice and flat, and it'll look nice and pretty. Alrighty, so here's what it looks like after it's been top stitched. Isn't that so pretty? And I used this nice light blue thread that contrasts really nicely. And now we are going to put in the loops where the detachable straps are going to hook in. So later on we're going to put a hook on the end of the straps so that it can hook through these loops. So for this, in the instructions, it said that you should use a piece of channeling. So this is underwire channeling for the loops, but it was really thick, and I mean, it worked okay, but if you're doing this swimsuit, I would definitely recommend just using more swimwear fabric to make these. So I would just basically copy the pattern piece for the back loops and just also make those same things for the front loops, maybe make them a little bit shorter than the back loops, but the channeling was a little bit thicker than I would have liked. So next time I think I will make these front loops out of actual swimwear fabric. But anyways, so I've kind of marked here where I wanted my loops to be by trying these bra cups on my mannequin and then deciding where I wanted the straps to come in. But I ended up actually moving them later, moving them down a little bit. But I didn't actually show that later on, so just know that I did end up moving these down. But the main thing is to pin these in place and then sew across them to sew them where you are going to want your straps to attach. Alrighty, so now we get to make the bra cups out of the main swimwear fabric. So this is exactly the same thing that we did with the wadding. So line them up with their corresponding piece with right sides together, and then sew down that curved center seam. And then you're also going to press that seam open and top stitch right along the seam on either side of the seam, exactly the same way that we did with the wadding. And once again, don't worry about using a stretch stitch because, like I said previously, the bra cups are not going to stretch at all because they'll be attached to the wadding. Alrighty, so we've got some pretty bra cups, and now it is time to attach the upper cup to the lower cup. So these little curved rainbow shaped pattern pieces are the upper cup pieces. So we're basically going to line them up and pin them to the upper edge of each of the cups, making sure that you're matching the center of the upper cup with the center of the lower cup, and also matching up the outer edges. And while you're pinning, you'll notice that the upper cup piece is going to be a bit shorter than the lower cup. So you're just going to have to make sure, like I said, that the center and the outer edges are lined up, and then just distribute the fabric in the lower cup around the rest of the upper cup piece evenly. And then when you go to sew it, just stretch the lower cup piece to fit the edge of the upper cup piece. And after you sew the upper cup to the lower cup, I would press the seam allowances down towards the lower cup and then top stitch right along your seam line within the lower cup to hold the seam allowances down and just make sure everything is flat and looking nice. Alrighty, so the swim fabric cups are sewn, and now it's time to start attaching the fabric cups to the wadding cups. So the first thing I'm doing is just pinning the front loops that we sewed to the wadding down out of the way, because I want to make sure that I don't catch them in my stitching at all. And then I'm going to line up the fabric cup with the wadding cup with right sides together, right along that top edge and just pin that top edge together. And then I'm going to sew the wadding and the fabric cups together at the top edge. So wadding and fabric cups are sewn together, and now we are going to do some understitching to make sure that the wadding stays on the inside of the cup. So you're basically going to fold it out so that the wadding is facing out towards one side and the main fabric out towards the other side, and then you're going to press the seam allowances down towards the wadding cup, and then you are going to stitch a row of stitching right along that seam line where you connected the two cups, and you're going to make sure that you're stitching within the wadding cup, not the outer fabric cup. So this stitching is not going to show on the outside of your swimsuit. It's just going to keep the seam allowance down towards the wadding and make sure that your wadding stays on the inside of your swimsuit and doesn't flip out towards the outside. So I've got my cups understitched on the wadding side of the cup, and I also trimmed the seam allowance just a bit to try to reduce some of the bulky fabric that is going to be within that seam allowance when we turn the cups right side out. And so now we can just turn our cups right sides out, and that understitching should keep the wadding on the inside of the cups so that it's not visible from the outside. And even though I trimmed my seam allowance, I still had a bit of kind of bulky fabric showing through on the outside of my cup, which I was a little bit unhappy about, but I couldn't figure out how to fix that at this point. So the next thing I did, and I seem to have forgotten to actually video it, was to attach the outer fabric to the wadding cup along that lower curved edge. So basically to do that, I just lined up the center point of the outer cup with the center point of the wadding cup and lined up the notches or marks of the wadding with that seam where the upper cup meets the lower cup on the outer fabric, and then I just smoothed everything over the wadding and then pinned it in place, and then I stitched right along that edge with a long basting stitch, and then I just trimmed the outer fabric so that it was laying flush with the wadding fabric. So next we're going to start preparing the bra band, or whatever this piece is called. So first I am pinning the outer fabric bra band to the lining fabric bra band at the side seams, and I have them facing with wrong sides together. And then I'm going to take my outer fabric back pieces. So these are the angled pieces that are going to go across your back, and I'm attaching them also at the side seams with right sides together. So I'm just moving my pins and then repinning to attach the back pieces to the bikini. Alrighty, so next I'm going to attach the lining back pieces, and honestly I could have done this in the previous step, but I suppose sewing it again makes it a bit stronger or something. Anyways, so here's what it looks like, and now I'm going to grab my lining back pieces, and I'm just going to attach them at the side seam the exact same way we did with the front back pieces. So I'm going to fold the previously sewn piece out of the way, and then basically just do the exact same thing we did in the previous step, except we're lining it up on the lining side rather than the outer fabric side, and then just sew through all 4 of those layers to complete your side seam. And then when you fold it out after you sew it, fold the back pieces out away from the front, then it's going to enclose that seam inside of the back pieces. Okay, so this next step is pretty simple. I've got my main body here of my bikini, and I'm just going to line up the outer fabric with the lining fabric along every single one of those edges, pin it, and then I'm going to go around and use a basting stitch, so a really long zigzag stitch, and sew along all of those open edges to basically just attach the lining to the outer fabric so that there's nothing kind of still open. It just makes it a little bit easier to handle if the outer fabric and the lining fabric are sewn together at all of the edges. So that is what I'm doing next. Alrighty, so it's time to sew in our elastic. So I have my 1/2 inch elastic for the lower band, and then I have these 2 pieces of 1/4 inch elastic for the upper part of the back pieces. So I'm going to start with my 1/4 inch elastic pieces. So first I am folding it in half and marking the center of my elastic piece, just so that I can make sure I distribute all of the fabric evenly around my elastic. And then I am also finding the center of that upper edge piece where we will be sewing our elastic. And then I'm lining up one end of the elastic with that point there on the outer edge of where the bra cup will go. I'm lining up the center point of the elastic with the center of the pattern piece, and then I'm lining up the outer edge of the elastic with the outer edge of our bikini. And then I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And then I'm going to use my serger and sew the elastic onto the swimsuit. And I'm going to stretch in between the pins in order to distribute the fabric of the bikini top evenly across the elastic. Alrighty, my 1/4 inch elastic is sewn on, and next I'm going to finish this upper edge of the bikini by folding the elastic under. So I'm going to fold under about 3/8 of an inch, so just a little beyond the edge of the elastic. And then I'm going to sew right along that edge with my double needle in order to finish off that top edge. So I'm going to do that on both sides where I sewed the elastic, and then I'm also going to fold under the center top edge of the bikini in between the 2 cups, and I'm going to fold that under by 3/8 of an inch and finish that off as well with the double needle. Alrighty, the top edge of my bikini is finished off and looking nice with the double needle stitching, and next I'm going to sew the 1/2 inch elastic to the bottom edge of the bikini top on the wrong side of the fabric, so on the lining side. So first I'm going to find the center of my elastic, and then I'm going to find the center point of my bikini top as well. And then I will pin the elastic to the bikini top, matching those points, pinning it on the lining side. I'm going to pin the outer edge of the elastic to the outer edges of the bikini top. And I'm also going to be finding the halfway point between the center and the outside edge on both my elastic and the bikini top, and then match up those points and place a pin there as well. It looks like it matched up almost exactly with the side seam, although that may not always be the case, so just be careful about that. And then I'm going to sew my elastic to my bikini top along the lower edge of the wrong side. Okie dokie, so the elastic is sewn to the bottom edge of the bikini, and we're going to finish off that edge a little bit later, but now it is time to put in the bra cup, so that's kind of exciting. So I'm basically just going to pin the bra cup to the front of the bikini top with right sides together. And I'm going to line up the markings on the bikini top with the markings on the bra cup, which were on your pattern pieces. And then I'm just going to sew the bra cup to the bikini top. All right, bra cups are in and it's starting to actually look like a bikini top, so that's pretty cool. And now we're going to put in our channeling for the underwires. So I'm starting by folding the body piece of the bikini out of the way, away from the cup, and then I'm pinning the channeling right along that stitching line where we sewed the cup to the bikini top, and I'm lining up the stitching that's on the channeling with the stitching where we sewed the cup to the bikini top, and I'm pinning that in place. I'm extending the ends of the channeling up past the top of the bikini about an inch so that later on we can fold it down and hem that. And I'm just pinning that all the way around, making sure to line up the stitching lines as best as I possibly can. And then I'm going to take this to my machine and I'm just going to sew right in that exact same stitching line that I just sewed to attach the channeling to the bikini top. Alrighty, so the first set of stitching to attach the channeling is done and it looks pretty nice there. So now we're going to basically just sew along the other edge of the channeling to hold down that end, and that stitching will show through on the right side of the fabric, so you really want to be careful to try to make it as even as possible because you will see it on the outside. And here's what it looks like after I've got it stitched. So now the channeling is all stitched down and looking nice. And I put in my underwires already. I forgot to video that. But underwires are in, so that's great. We're getting really close now. So the next step is to hem the bottom edge of the swimsuit. So just fold the elastic under onto the inside and stitch it down with a double needle, and that's pretty much all there is to hemming it. Next we need to add our sliders to the straps to make them adjustable, and then also add the hooks on the ends of the straps so that we can hook them in on the back and the front of the swimsuit so that they can be removable. And I really did not get a good video of this, and I also messed it up several times and had to redo it. So there's a really good diagram in the pattern instructions of how to put on the sliders onto the straps. So I would just refer to that diagram and you should be able to figure it out. At this point, I also attached the fasteners to the back of my bikini top. So to do that, I basically just threaded each side of the back of the bikini through each side of the fastener and then sewed down the fabric right alongside the fastener. And I, once again, did not get a video of that. I think I was just getting really anxious to finish at this point and was not videoing as much as I should have. And we're almost done. So next we want to attach the back loops where we'll attach the straps to the back of the bikini. So I have the spots where I want to attach my loops marked with pins. So I tried it on I tried it on to my dress form and then decided where I wanted the back loops to be, where I wanted the straps to attach. So I would recommend trying it on and making sure that you put the loops in the right place for your body. So I'm basically just lining the back loop up there where I marked, pinning it, and then I'm just going to sew across it to hold it in place. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then the last step, once we get the back loop sewn on, is to hem the channeling. So to hem the channeling, I basically just pushed the channeling down towards the inside of the swimsuit and then I hand sewed it in place, and then I just trimmed the ends off close to the stitching. And here is the final swimsuit. I'm pretty happy with it. There's definitely a few things that I think I will change next time I make it. But I do think that it's cute and it's definitely wearable, and I probably will use this pattern again, but after I definitely make some adjustments. Like, I think next time I probably will line the cups because I don't really like having the wadding showing like that. And I also think that the cups need a bit of adjustment fit wise. And I also think that next time I'll make the band a little bit smaller because it's a little loose on me, and it also, I don't really like the puckering along the bottom of the swimsuit, which I think making the band a little bit shorter would help with. But anyways, this was definitely a challenge and I enjoyed it, and I like the end result. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.